It is 6:30, November the 21st, 2017. We are at Radcliffe City Hall, 411 West Lincoln Trail Boulevard, Radcliffe, Kentucky. And the scheduled meeting of the Radcliffe City Council will now come to order. Would you lead us off with a prayer?
Yes, sir. Sure. Would be happy to. This time we'll have our invocation. Heavenly Father, thank you for the day and all of our many blessings. We ask that you give the City Council and the Mayor wisdom as they conduct the business of the city. Help us to love you and to love one another. And help us to be thankful not just this week, Lord, but every week of the year. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Would you join us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. England, would you call the roll?
Yes, sir.
Barbara Baker,
Here.
Stan Holmes, Edward Palmer.
Here.
Tanya Seabrooks.
Here.
Kim Thompson. Chris Yates.
Present.
We have a quorum, Mr. Mayor.
All right, City Council, you have the minutes of the October 10, 2017 work session in your packet and have had a chance to read it. I need a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes?
Are we doing them individually or together?
We individually. We're just doing the 10th, October the 10th right now.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we will look at the minutes of October the 17th, which was a called regular meeting.
I'll make the
Do I
motion.
have a motion?
Yeah. So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Both sets of minutes have been approved. The first subject on the agenda is a special guest presentation considering littering and the environment. And Will, would you come to the, have a seat right there in front of that microphone? Hold that thing up to you. Give us a test to see if we can hear you.
Testing.
Okay, Will, would you give us your name, where you live, and what grade you're in?
My name is William Klein. I am 11 years old, and I am in 6th grade.
Okay, as all of us know, we have problems in the city with littering and have had ever since I have been the mayor and long before I was the mayor. And this week I received a letter from Will, who is just as disappointed and disgusted with that as I am. And I thought perhaps if all of us could hear what he has to say, and everybody in the audience could hear what he has to say, and possibly the camera could pick it up, maybe it will encourage adults to stop littering the roadways and the right-of-ways. Will, the floor is yours, young man.
Hi, my name is William Klein, and I like to keep people from littering and make Radcliffe clean again. When I go to places, I look at all of the trash that people have thrown out the window and littered and watch people walk by, drive by, or ride by like it's normal and it'll rot away, blow away, or someone else will pick it up for them. And none of that is true. If it is close to the woods, it might be blown into them, then animals might eat it and be harmed. On highways, the trash does get picked up, but people just leave it there. And sometimes the animals would chew through the bags out of curiosity or because they smell something really good to eat. Then they rip the bag open. The trash might come back out again, get blown around, then you're back to square one. Or if the bag is too close to the road and the animal does that, it could get hit. I think we should bag it up and then bring it back and throw it away so that doesn't happen. And then Radcliffe would be much cleaner and our highways. And we'd have a cleaner future. My plan would be to clean 2 to 3 roads every 3 to 4 weeks on Saturdays. We'd start at 1:30 p.m. a.m. and then stop when we're done. One problem is we don't have the supplies we would need to clean the roads. The supplies we need would be trash bags, volunteers, protection, vehicles to take the trash back, and then plastic gloves. My plan to make a group is to put up sign-up sheets in some high schools, colleges, and a few other places like Boy Scout troops and camps.
Well, Will, thank you very much for coming. It takes courage for a young man like you to appear before an adult audience like this and speak like you did without your voice wavering whatsoever. We consider you to be one of the future leaders, and you're demonstrating that now. We thank you very much for coming. Could we give this young man a round of applause? Thanks, Will.
Great job, Will.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
very good.
You want to come by and shake the hands of all the city council?
Hey, Will, I want you to pick up plan at 1 p.m. AM's a little early for me. Just say thank you. A little early, 1 a.m. is early.
Good job.
You're amazing.
Good job.
Other than that, Will, it was perfect.
Good job.
The first item of old business is
Very
the
nice.
second reading of an ordinance creating a franchise for sale of natural gas. This ordinance was initially prepared for presentation at the council at the October 17th meeting. However, it was withdrawn for additional legal work by our legal counsel. And after the additional legal work, the first reading was at the special called meeting on November the 13th. Mr. Pike, would you read the ordinance?
Yes, Mayor, this is the ordinance creating a franchise for the erection, laying, and maintenance of natural gas facilities and appurtenant facilities and equipment in, along, and across the public ways, roads, streets, alleys, and other public places in the city of Radcliffe, Kentucky, for furnishing and selling natural gas by means of said facilities and providing for the sale of said franchise. Whereas the city of Radcliffe wishes to ensure that natural gas service continues to be furnished to its citizens in a reliable and efficient manner. Whereas the city is aware that the provision of such service requires the continued use of public streets, ways, alleys, and other public places. Whereas the franchise granted to and acquired by Louisville Gas and Electric Company on February 1st, 1998, under which that utility provided such service, will expire by its terms February 1st, 2018. Whereas the city wishes to provide for the sale of a new franchise for the benefit of its citizenry, giving effect to Section 96.010 of the Kentucky Revised Statutes. Now therefore be it ordained as follows. Section 1, a non-exclusive franchise to use the city's public rights-of-way as described in the franchise agreement attached to this ordinance is hereby created. Section 2, the franchise created by this ordinance shall be bid in accordance with the applicable requirements of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Kentucky and Chapter 424 of the Kentucky Revised Statutes, as well as any applicable city ordinances. Section 3, the franchise created by this ordinance shall be awarded to the highest and best bidder, as shall be determined by the city in its sole discretion. In awarding the franchise, the city shall consider the technical, managerial, and financial qualifications of the bidder to perform its obligations under the franchise. Section 4, the winning bidder and the city shall negotiate, execute, and be bound by a franchise agreement with terms identical to or substantially identical to the franchise agreement referenced in Section 1 above and attached hereto. Such agreement to contain terms that are fair and reasonable to the city, to the purchaser of the franchise, and to the patrons of the utility, per KRS Section 96.010. Such franchise agreement shall become effective with the first billing cycle on or after the expiration of the existing franchise agreement to allow the city and the winning bidder to develop appropriate procedures for identifying and reviewing the natural gas consuming entities within the city's corporate limits. Section 5, all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with the provisions of this ordinance are hereby repealed. Section 6, should any section, clause, line, paragraph, or part of this ordinance or the attached agreement be held unconstitutional or invalid for any reason, the same shall not affect the remainder of this ordinance or the attached agreement as applicable. Section 7, time is of the essence in carrying out the terms and the provisions of this ordinance and the franchise created herein. Section 8, this ordinance shall become effective from and after its passage and publication. And that is a second reading, Mayor.
Do I have a motion for passing the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Do you have both those?
Yes, sir.
Do we have any discussion?
Mayor, I wanted to just give a little bit of background, if the council would like to hear on what it is we're exactly doing with this. And very briefly, anytime you have a public utility such as a natural gas or electric company that wants to utilize the city's public ways to provide services, they must be granted a franchise by the city to use the city right-of-ways. Whether that's a utility company such as LG&E or KU, an electric company, water company, etc. The Kentucky Constitution says that cities can grant these franchises for a maximum duration of 20 years. What has happened in this situation is the LG&E, KU franchise, and basically they're the same company now, is my understanding, their franchise is expiring in 2018. So they want to renew their franchise, and my understanding is that the city is amenable to that. So what we're doing is, by this ordinance, creating a new franchise, and it's a new franchise, but it's going to be for an old franchisee. And the franchise will be bid, it'll be advertised, and then, of course, LG&E will bid it. That doesn't prohibit any other entities from bidding. They can bid it as well, but of course they would have to install infrastructure and that sort of thing. The term of this will be 10 years instead of 20. The mayor was not comfortable with a 20-year franchise, but was comfortable with a 10-year franchise. The franchise fee that the city would charge would be fixed for 5 years, but then could be revisited after 5. The term of the negotiation basically was at 5 years, the franchise fee could be changed, but it could not be assessed only to the franchisee. In other words, you could raise the franchise fee, but only if they could pass it on through to the customers. And of course, they are a regulated entity, regulated by the Kentucky Public Service Commission. Their rates are approved by the Kentucky PSC. They can't raise rates without public notices and hearings, etc. And again, this is a non-exclusive franchise. It would be for 10 years. And I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Any questions or discussion?
I have some questions.
Okay.
In this ordinance that we're creating, it doesn't have the terms on it, just that it would be bid.
Correct.
So once that is bid, does that come back to the council for approval? Because it kind of
Yes.
sounds like there was already an agreement and the council hasn't had any input into that at all.
No, the city would approve the franchise.
The city or the council?
The city council, sorry.
Do we have a timeline on when that would be bid out and when that would come back? Is it 30 days or 10 days or?
I'm not exactly sure. I think it would be bid so that it could be awarded prior to February 1st of 18.
But it would need to give, if another company came and actually won the bid, they would need time to put their infrastructure in. Right?
Okay, sure. Well, that would be,
So, I
that'd be
mean, is
quite
it-
that'd be quite a pickle for you, the city council, wouldn't it?
I'm just saying. I was trying to
I
think it all
trust your
through.
judgment when it comes time to approve the franchise, absolutely. If that situation happened, I think you would want to grant, well, again, it's non-exclusive, so you could award 2.
Okay,
It's not just an all or nothing one franchise company.
okay. But the council will be approving the actual contract, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then so we don't have a time frame on when we will get those contracts in or award those bids?
The
Because it said time is of the essence, so that's why I thought it was already worked out.
draft agreement, if you don't already have it, we'll make sure you get it.
I don't have anything on
Okay,
it.
all right. Well, we'll make sure you get it, because I've looked at it and I'm satisfied with it, but I'll make sure that the clerk gets it to you.
Okay.
I guess the only thing I have is a comment that I think it was wisdom to reduce the term from 20 to 10 with the 5-year renegotiable option. So thanks, Mr. Pike, Mr. Mayor, for applying some wisdom to that going forward.
Originally, LG&E wanted it to be an exclusive franchise, and we told them no.
For 20 years.
Yeah, this clearly puts the city in the driver's seat going forward, so appreciate the wisdom in that.
Any other discussion or comments? Mr. England, call the roll.
Barbara Baker,
Yes.
Edward Palmer,
Yes,
Tanya Seabrooks.
Yes.
Chris Yates.
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. The next order of business is the request for bids for the Happy Valley Flood Mitigation Basin Control Valves. And that was answered by only one bidder. The bid was open at 11 a.m. on November the 2nd, 2017. The bid information was presented, explained, and discussed to and with the council at the November 17th work session. Our city engineer, Toby Spalding, recommended that the council accept the bid for $135,758. This is pretty much only one company capable of doing all these valves that control all of the flow of water in our basins. So with that, do I have a motion to accept this bid?
So moved.
Have a second? Kind of hard to do it without a second. Maybe we could skip the second and go to discussion to find out why we can't get a second. Any particular reason why we don't want to approve this bid? Well, City Council, I would tell you that we're gonna have to have valves in these basins. It takes a while to make them. There's only one company that makes them.
I think that maybe the council's a little hesitant because there's only one bid, but
There's not gonna be any more bids.
I'm not for sure how to get more people to bid, so I don't know why we can't get a second.
Let me ask this question. So, on this, and I am hesitant because I only see one bid, and I see that often for different projects that we do. But, and I understand people have the same amount of time, but at the same time, I'm a little confused here. So it opened up at 11 a.m. on Thursday, November 2nd, and then it was closed.
No.
No, it didn't. Okay.
At 11 a.m. on the 2nd of November is the day and the time we opened all of the bids.
The submitted bids.
The submitted
All the
bids.
submitted
Okay.
bids.
And this was the only one. And which,
Mr. Mayor, do you know if there's been any vetting?
Any what?
Any vetting of this particular company, board structure, those kinds of things?
I really don't know what you mean by vetting. What-
What's-
To know who owns the company,
The
principal,
background.
partners?
the background of the company?
No?
No, but this is in the hands of the city council now, and I need some guidance as to what you want done.
Apparently it dies for lack of a second.
Yes, sure does. So,
The bad thing is here in the next month, you know what was gonna end up happening?
What?
We're gonna approve this bid.
Well, yeah, we'll eventually.
I mean, you know, we
because
just-
we don't have any other place to get the stuff.
I know. But, I mean, that's what's gonna end up happening. It's just, could've done a little homework if you didn't wanna vote for it or had questions. That's all I got to say.
Well, on November the 7th at the work session, it was presented, explained, opened up for discussion, and any questions anybody had could have been answered at that time. So,
I had several questions at that time that we had discussed.
weren't they answered?
Those particular ones were, yes.
The ones you asked were answered
Mhm.
to your satisfaction. Do you have additional questions now?
Well, I mean, as Councilman Palmer said, if you all didn't vet them, if you didn't check and make sure that everything is in proper and order, I would think that's kind of an issue with a $135,000 bid going
Well,
out. If we
I
don't
didn't
check
vet
that
them.
sort of thing.
I didn't vet them, but we have a very qualified city engineer who understands this process, understands this company, and he knows, as he told you on the 17th of November, that this is the only company that has bid on it and will probably be the only company that will bid on it. So what I would like to know is, do you want us to go back and bid this again?
Mr. Mayor, I just asked the question.
Yeah.
I'm well prepared to vote on this, on the confidence in my colleagues. I was not at the work session, so I trust that if they vetted this well enough to make a motion in second, I'm more than willing to support it and vote for it. I'm just not going to second it because I wasn't at the work session to specifically inquire.
Just a point of information, we also have a design engineer on this project, QK4 out of Louisville. And they reviewed the bid, and Neil Crawford, who is a professional engineer and project manager with them, evaluated the sole bid provided by Tri-State Valves and Controls, said the bid was complete and in conformance with the bid specs. After review of the bid, we did not discover any reason to withhold the award of the bid and recommend the city award the project, the amount of $135,758 to Tri-State Valves and Controls. So it's not just the city, but our design engineer, as well as Toby, obviously in-house, everybody was comfortable with that, so.
Councilman Palmer, one of the things that we found out when we did the discussion on this was that when these valves are all put in, we will be able to control them manually. We'll be able to control them from City Hall and be able to control them from an iPhone.
Yeah, I remember the initial presentation that Toby gave months ago about the automation that was incorporated into this process. And I think it's great, and I think we need to move forward. I just wasn't at the work session, so I'm not prepared to make a second, but I'm definitely in agreement with moving forward, so.
Well, we have a motion.
One of my colleagues that were here could support the bid. I'm ready to vote for it. Support the second, I'm ready to vote for it.
Well, we have a motion. We don't have a discussion. I've given you all the opportunity you need to give a second. I don't know what it is you want us to do from here, but I'm passing over that and going to the next item on the agenda, and that is the holiday schedule. And you have the holiday schedule. Are there any changes to that? Make a note of what happened. Died for lack of a second. Any objection to the holiday schedule? Okay, no
No, that's
objection.
everything that we discussed.
What?
That's everything that we
Okay.
discussed during the work
Okay.
session.
All in favor of the holiday schedule as it appears before you, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the next thing we have is pension reform. When I talked about the pension back in October, the council had asked me to get someone from KLC to come down and talk to us about pension reform. But at that time, we expected the governor to call a special session for pension reform only. And we thought it would be done before the end of October. Then we thought it would be done before the end of November. Now we find out that pension reform will not be done this calendar year, and that in all probability, pension reform will be part of an overall tax reform bill. So between now and the end of the year, there's not going to be anything for me to get the KLC to come back to you and talk to you about. So we're passing over that because nothing to report.
Okay.
And the last item of that is the current fiscal year budget expense report update. The budget control report that you have in your packet is for July, August, September, and October. And it contains 44 pages of financial data. Now, on a daily basis, I sign invoices. And weekly, I check with the finance director to see where we stand. And I also hold all 6 department directors accountable for maintaining their budget. When I go over a session where I specifically look at the budget and ask questions of the finance director, it takes about an hour. So it's obvious that we couldn't go over this budget of 44 pages with each city councilman asking those kinds of questions. So what I would encourage you to do is study it. And I think one of the things you do is look at the bottom line for each department and see if they were within their 33 1/3% where they ought to be right now. And then look over it and see if there's any particular line item that bothers you. And then either come to see me to have me explain it to you, or make an appointment and see Chance and sit down with him and spend some time with him. That's about the only way that we can do this. Trying to do it today just wouldn't.
Well, Mr. Mayor, when I brought it up, that bottom line reference that you made is what I was anticipating. I wasn't anticipating a line-by-line item detailed report, that if they were supposed to be at 33% and they were only at 10, or they were supposed to be at 33% and they were at 48%, then that would give me, grounds for further inquiry. I didn't necessarily anticipate a line-by-line item, just a department bottom line allocations versus.
Well, this is what he gives to me, and so I think I might as well share the whole thing with you each time, and you'll get another one that takes us to 31 December, but you won't get that until January.
Well, that's a lot of trees, but I was okay with just.
We can send it to you electronically.
Well, that'll work too, but I'm not interested in a whole bunch of extra paperwork. If there's something that stands out, that department bottom line, then, I'm capable of coming over to City Hall and making further inquiries. But if you want to send a detailed report, I'll accept it. But
I can send you the bottom line on all departments if that's what each.
I want the whole thing. Obviously, we all knew I was going to say that.
I would have expected nothing less.
Exactly, as it should be. As it should be. Yes, it should
I want each little line.
And for the record, she'll still ask for additional information.
Probably so. Probably so.
Okay, that takes us to new business, but for the first time since I've been the mayor, we have no new business. But there are a couple of recognitions that I want to do, and the first recognition is Fright Night and Lights. When we do something like Fright Night and Lights, it takes a lot of volunteers to put that on. And we have volunteers that come from, that have nothing to do with the city. And we have volunteers that work for the city that come and volunteer their time when we do functions like this. And some of the city council can be seen at a lot of these. And Barbara, I'd have to say that, that you're one of the people I see more than anybody else. So thank you for what you do. This year in Fright Night, Tim Jeffries took charge of the old trolley, which, as you know, is not functional. And along with Cindy Bischoff and Alicia Tucker and Denise Haynes and Cheryl Thurman, he made that into a special attraction for Fright Night, and anybody who saw it would be impressed with it. And it's always nice to have young people to add their special touch to that. And this year, that person is a 15-year-old sophomore from North Hardin High School who is a member of the marching band and the Beta Club and is a straight A student and took the time to come for Fright Night and spend 5 hours with us. And Savannah Haynes, would you come up just so we can recognize you? That's what I wanted to do, is give you a round of applause. And thank you very much for that. And you might want to shake hands with everybody on the council.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. You all did a great job.
Awesome job.
Yes. And Savannah, I'm not going to interrupt right now and give this to you, but I have a letter in a folder here. Well, I can give it to you right now. Let me see if I've signed it. No, that doesn't belong to you. That belongs to somebody else.
This is called red tape, Savannah.
That's red tape. There it is, Savannah. You has your name on it. And thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
be 15 once.
What?
You used to be 15 once.
Was that?
So I've heard.
Now, the next thing is Carl Bashir. Now, many of us in this room attended the naming of the veterans' home over close to Fort Knox. And that was on the 9th of November. It was especially rewarding to me because I know that there are 3 other nursing homes in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and I know that the first one was at Wilmore. And I know that that nursing home is not named after a national hero. And I know the second one is in a place called Hanson down by Madisonville, and it's not named after a military hero. And I know the third one is in Hazard, and it's not named after a military hero. To have this one in our backyard, named after somebody who is this much of an American hero, is really, really pleasing to me, and it was pleasing to everybody that attended. So what we have now is a proclamation from the city of Ratcliffe. And when we do a special proclamation, we do the signing and we take a photograph of that. And when we put the whole thing together, it's in a frame, and that picture is with it. So when I read this and when I sign it, Farley Bashir, I want you to be sitting up here next to me. And I would like for the whole city council to be standing behind me so that we are all a part of this momentous occasion. And those who aren't here today are just missing
You're
out.
just out of luck.
And I want our city clerk, who has a lot to do with something like this, and I want our attorney to be in this picture also. So with that, let me try to clear this off so we can get a better picture of it. Put that kind of down like that. Get this out of the way. And Farley, I'm going to move my chair over like this to where it's kind of centered. And you're going to take the clerk's chair, and you're going to snuggle up close to me.
Are you gonna read it, Mayor?
And we're gonna.
I'm going to read it, yes.
Oh, we're gonna read it first?
Like, are you gonna read it?
I'm going to read it while he's here, and then I'll
We're
sign
all
it.
sliding.
Right there. But then just come right on.
Chris, come on down there.
Do you want to stand?
Yes, you need to stand behind.
You let's move that out of the way.
Yeah. Let's not lose my legs.
We'll bring them back.
We'll bring them back. Okay. And just get back there where you're comfortable. And who's taking the photograph? That would be you.
Ben. Ben's taking.
Do you need this down in order to get it? Do you need anything off the table?
Yeah, do you need your mic up? Does he need his mic up?
Everybody's eyes towards the professional, please.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, this is a City of Ratcliffe proclamation, and it reads, whereas Carl Maxey Bashir was born on January the 19th, 1931, in Tonyville, Kentucky, on a sharecropper farm, the 6th of 8 children. And whereas Carl Bashir joined the United States Navy at the age of 17 and retired after 31 years as the Master Chief Boatswain's Mate. And whereas Master Chief Bashir was the first African American to become a United States Navy Master Diver. And whereas Master Chief Bashir not only returned to active duty after having his left leg amputated, but achieved the coveted title of Master Diver. And whereas Carl Bashir, who enlisted in the United States Navy only 2 years after President Truman desegregated the armed forces, that should read, who enlisted in the United States Navy only 2 years after President Truman desegregated the armed forces, faced and overcame the persistent and lingering prejudices of racism through his unwavering determination. And whereas Master Chief Bashir, a true man of honor, has set an example of bravery, courage, endurance, dependability, initiative, integrity, loyalty, and unselfishness that will live as a standard for all branches of military service indefinitely. And now, therefore, be it resolved that I, J. Michael Weaver, Mayor of the City of Ratcliffe, join with the City Council and the citizens of Ratcliffe in recognizing Master Chief Carl Maxey Brashear as a military leader whose legacy will endure. And I came in 1956, and they had done zip shit about it.
I was on me.
So,
I was on me.
yeah. Well, yeah, that was part of it, wasn't it? That's a bit, we got it. Okay, and, as per planned, I'm not giving this to Farley today. It goes to Israel Ray out at the Veterans Center, where they intend to keep it in a prominent place where people who come in there can see it. And hopefully a few people read it from time to time. And through this proclamation and everything else that's been done for that Veterans Center, people will know who this man was. Okay? A couple of words from Farley.
Stand up.
No, you said right there.
Yeah, I don't need a, I don't need a microphone.
Whatever you feel like doing. You want to stand up or you
Yeah.
The floor is yours, Ray.
For all the relatives of Carl Brashear, would you please stand up if you're here? And in honor of Carl Brashear and family, is it a pleasure to accept this award, and it goes to the veteran, Carl Brashear's Veterans Nursing Home, to Israel Ray. And before I sit down, now, some of you that saw the movie, it just stuck with me, Billy Sunday. I'm gonna share it with you. It just stayed with me, Ma, ever since it come out. A Navy diver is not a fighting man. He is a salvage expert. If it is lost underwater, he finds it. If it is sunk, he brings it up. And if it's in the way, he moves it. Thank you. Hey, how you doing? Sit there.
I think there's a foundation that you can contact online, get a copy of the commemorative coin and a certificate of authenticity as well. You want to tell everybody what the link is to that foundation so that we can order coins? I know I've already done it. Some others may have already done it. There's a Carl Brashear Foundation, and we can get that authentic coin with the certificate of authenticity as well. What's that site?
Yeah, the website.
What is the site for the foundation? Anybody know?
We'll have to get that.
Okay, if you get it, we'll put it out.
Also, too, just a reminder that Ratcliffe Chamber of Commerce, our location here, is actually has the Carl Brashear Christmas ornaments on sale. Right. So if you would like to stop by the Chamber of Commerce right here in Ratcliffe from the hours of 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., you may purchase a commemorative Christmas ornament for Carl Brashear. $7.
Very good.
Let me just say again before we leave this subject that in my opinion, this is the first Veterans Center that's been properly named.
Mayor, Can JJ do his next?
He's going to, yeah.
Okay.
Well, this next one will take a very short period of time.
Okay, because one of them, I think, has to go back to work.
Who does?
I think one of the people getting the award from him has to go back. She only
Okay,
had
we-
like
we
an
can do
hour.
that. We can do
She only
that.
had like an hour.
Yeah.
At the entrepreneurial awards last week, 3 Ratcliffe businesses were mentioned. Our economic development director, J.J. Duvall, you better get in here, worked with all 3, getting them established. And Mr. Duvall, come to the table and review for us your involvement or whatever else you want to say about the laborious effort that you put forth to help establish these 3 businesses.
I didn't do that.
Yes, you did.
Don't this one on there?
Don't tear up the equipment.
Yes, because she only had an hour, remember?
No. Did you miss the hearts of, what's it called?
We're going to do that next.
All right, gotcha. All right, well, I'm JJ Duvall, as the mayor said. My name's been on the screen the whole time. We couldn't shut that off immediately, so. But we were very proud of several businesses in our community that got recognized, and so we wanted to recognize them. Tanya Seabrooks called and said that she also wants to see some recognition given to these businesses. And so we said we're very proud of what these businesses have done in our community and continue to do here. So I'm going to start off with just a little quick PowerPoint. See, it's locked up. There we go. So I'd like to call up Joe and Michelle Harmon. Come on up. Bring your family. So how many people in here like ice cream?
Yes.
How many people have been to the Family Fun Cafe and ice cream?
Yes.
Y'all stand right up here, please. So as you can see, they were an honorable mention of Startup 2017 Startup Award. So we're going to talk a little bit about, this is your location here. I'm going to go through too fast.
Ooh.
Yum.
Yes, looks great. And so I'm going to turn it over to you, let you talk a little bit about what you do, your business, and then I'm going to share some great things that you had. I'll take my thunder from you. All right. You go right ahead.
We basically got this business established. It's a place for families to come and hang out and talk with one another. We don't have TVs, we don't have charging stations for your phones, we have conversation sticks and board games, and we have about 1 acre of land, so we'll have pony rides and inflatables. We let other businesses in the community come and set up on our property to do things. It's just a way to bring families, like back in the day, how we used to come together and actually talk to one another, just to implement, togetherness and family here in Ratcliffe. It's a great place to be and to live, so it just kind of brings back a nostalgic feeling, being able to come into our place, and we kind of want to hold on to that for as long as we can. So.
And you opened May of 16.
May 29th, 2016, correct.
Yes. And one of the things I found very exciting and very proud of, they were featured in bestthingsInKentucky.com. And if you go there and look at it, they were one of the best top 10 ice cream parlors in the state of Kentucky. And they were up with people like Comfy Cow, Grader's Ice Cream, and that's a great for a first-year opening business, especially, we're very proud of you here in the community. They work every day. They're small business owners. We hope you go out, you shop with them, you go there. They're open through the winter. I know you're gonna take a couple of days off, you said, to take a little vacation. But we're very proud of them. We're very proud of what they've done here. And so today we're gonna offer them a recognition. And don't leave, because we're gonna get a photo with all the council members and everything with you guys. I'm gonna read the first one. All 3 of these say the same thing. And so, Family Fun Cafe and Ice Cream. The City of Ratcliffe recognizes and appreciates Family Fun Cafe and Ice Cream for its investment in our community. Family Fun Cafe and Ice Cream plays an important role in the city, providing jobs, revenue that helps improve the quality of life for our residents and our businesses. Thank you for your partnership, dedication, and commitment to making the City of Ratcliffe a great place for growth and opportunity. Signed, J.J. Duvall and Mayor Mike Weaver. All right, we're moving on. Guys, we're going to take a photo after all this.
Okay.
Next, I'd like to call up Bess. Bess is the owner of Sweet Retreat, and she won Startup of the Year. You always know a great business owner, because when I called her and asked her about coming, I know, Tanya, you reached out to her as well, that she said, well, I'm gonna have to come in my work clothes. Because she's been working since, what, 6:30 this morning, I think you said, and tomorrow's a very busy day for you. So we won't keep you very long, but you started in May of 2014. She's located in the Ratcliffe Shopping Square, which is located down here by Ollie's. And I remember when Bess first started, there's a picture of you and me that we took together when you very first opened. There were some tough times when you very first started, but she has really put the effort. She works 80-hour weeks. She does a lot of work. And I'm going to show you a couple of her things that she's done here. There's the, of course, from the building. Just some cakes. Who loves cupcakes? Cupcakes are very delicious. Specialty cakes, I'd say, is probably one of your highlights, your favorite things to do. Wedding cakes.
Beautiful.
Probably the most, luxurious. I mean, it takes a lot of time to put a wedding cake together.
Yes.
Yes. Probably one of the best cakes she's ever done. A lot of effort and time went into that.
Where's the mayor when he does that?
Shameless plug.
But I'll take that off there. I'll go back to the wedding cake. But I won't read that again, but we're very proud and honored to have you in our community. People like you is what makes small business thrive every day of the week. And without you, we don't exist, and this community would just like to give you a nice round of applause. So next, I'd like to ask Mark Hayner, the partner and CFO for Ruffle Girl. How many of you guys know what Ruffle Girl is? And men. They have men, right? They have men close. So Ruffle Girl is located in our Mill Pond Business Park. I'll get into where they're located at, but here's some photos of things that they do. I'll leave it there at Santa. So Wendy, and I always get her last name wrong, Ballou. She started in May of 2013. She launched Ruffle Girl with $25,000 investment and 1,500 dresses. Ruffle Girl started off with one row of clothing in her basement. In her first year, Ruffle Girl brand produced $47,000. Later in 2014, she expanded, of course, alongside with Mark, and contracted with Zulily. Trying to lose my place here, Zulily. Her entire house soon became full of ruffles. Ruffle Girl then moved into its first warehouse, which is 2,400 square feet. In 2014, it had 2 employees, and Ruffle Girls did over $1.3 million in annual sales. In 2015, she searched for a larger warehouse for Ruffle Girl. She then moved into a 1,500 square foot building with inventory, and at the end of 2015, she had about 15 employees. The warehouse division is carried by 300 boutiques and stores across the globe. Ruffle Girl also has a full showroom located in Atlanta, Georgia. In 2016, the company produced over $5 million in annual sales. $500 million. And then she purchased, which we talked about, Mill Pond Business Park, the 6,500 square foot warehouse. 65,000 square foot warehouse that we have in Mill Pond Business Park. She now has over 20 employees. They've added a showroom in Dallas, Texas. They project their sales will be somewhere between $8 to $10 million, and they ship to over 50 states, several other countries, including Japan, England, France, and Egypt. Now, how many of you guys knew that we had this located right here in Ratcliffe? It's very nice to know that we have a company. Many of the city council, the mayor, were part of this process in helping them locate here. I remember when they reached out and I first got to meet Mark, they were looking for places in Elizabethtown and in the region. And we happened to have a building that really worked, a building that they could expand into. And I'll show you that building here. As you can see, it's very impressive. I mean, they really work, and if you have an opportunity to stop in there, which you will here December 9th, and take a look around, it's very impressive, and we're very proud to have a company like this, a partner like Mark. Mark actually sits on and has sat on several of our boards that we've had in the past. He currently sits on my North End redevelopment project. He's a go-getter. He's called me all the time looking for projects and things to invest in. And so we're very fortunate to have an individual like him and Wendy in our community and supporting Ratcliffe. And so on this, I'm going to give you a shameless plug. On December 9th, from 9 to 5, and from Sunday 1 to 5, they're gonna be having their annual warehouse sale. So those that are looking for shopping items, clothes, boutique and stuff, we ask you to go up there. Mark, we'll turn it over to you, for a couple words.
We really like working with the community of Radcliffe. We try to, we've donated to several of the high schools, the events that have come to town, so we like to be community oriented to give back to Radcliffe. And I mean, we've given probably $15,000 to $20,000 back to the city since we've been here. So we do our best to give back. We appreciate you having us in the community, and look forward to expanding. Hopefully, we have plans for a new building in the next 5 years. So just like the one we have there. So.
All right, thank you. I don't know how you, Mary, y'all want to come on?
I want to see how you're going to orchestrate this, Jimmy.
Son, you want to do on that side? Chris, find them. Chris, find the window. Ed's always tall enough. There you go, Bart. There you go. We got it. I do want to mention
It's like old times. Look, y'all get to get the photo.
Mayor, I'd like to take just one more second to recognize Papa George. You were also a nominee, I believe. Yes. I don't know if any guys have had Papa George.
Yes,
hot dog.
goodness.
It's delicious.
Yes.
You want to say just a couple words about your hot dog? Your vending that you.
I'm mobile, so I'm everywhere. About 5 years ago, I pulled my hot dog cart in front of the North Garden liquor store, and here we are some 5 years later with the nomination, and I'm all over the county. You can visit my website, and my number there will always tell you where I'm located. But I do much more than hot dogs.
Oh, no, you do like all kind of Philly steaks?
Oh, yes, sir. We graduated from hot dogs. We do pork chop sandwiches, you name it, we can do it. And we have more than one hot dog.
You gotta get there before Pete does it, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Tawanda Hope, are you here?
Yeah.
Oh, come on up if you would. Tawanda, we don't have a plaque or anything like that for you. I just wanted to mention that, have a seat. That I attended your soft opening last Friday. And I recall over a year ago that you appeared before us and told us what you were planning to do and what your vision was. And it was just rewarding to come to your place on Friday and find out that the vision that you had and all the effort that you put into it has paid off, and that you actually have 15 places on the first floor for people to sleep. And you started that last Friday night or Saturday?
Saturday.
Last Saturday night. And they get a meal in the evening, and they get a meal in the morning, and a place to stay for the night in this kind of cold weather.
Yes.
And want to thank you for doing that for the city. It is certainly a need, and we just want to give you a round of applause for doing what you did. give you an opportunity to say a couple things about it if you'd like.
I just want to first thank God because He is the author and the finisher of my faith. And I thank you all for believing in the vision. It's been 10 years. And after 10 years of sweat, crying, not having enough, God sustained us through the storm. And now we're able to bring people in from the storm. And I have one of our guests here tonight, so I would like to have him up to tell you what we have done for him and his family, if that's okay. Mr. Arthur.
How you doing, Mayor? My name is Arthur Jett. I'll repeat. My name is Arthur Jett, and like she says, my family and I, we stay at the shelter. It is a very nice shelter, and I give her and the Lord all the praise for everything that she's doing. Because without her, we couldn't do nothing on our own. And like we get breakfast, dinner, and supper there. We can sleep. Don't have to worry about nobody bothering us or trying to rob us or anything. We got a natural roof over our heads. And I thank the Lord for that, because where our family was at, we didn't have the luxury that we have now. The place was smaller, but this place is a lot more roomier. And I love room, because I got to have it, you know. She's a very nice person. All the volunteers that comes there and volunteers their time, they're very sweet and lovable people. And I just like everything that they're doing there. And whenever she gets everything else done, I've already put in a bid for the painting, because I love the paint. That's my job. But if she needs anything else, you know, inside or out, all she got to do is ask, and she knows she can get it. Really, she don't have to ask, because I'm going to slide in there and get it, do what I got to do anyway. But once again, I just thank the Lord for the place that she's got going now, which I stayed there last year doing the rooming in, so I know the building real good. And I just don't like the bird. Everybody that comes there, she's got more friends than I can ever count. And they always bringing stuff to her. Donations and stuff like that, food, everything. And when it's just 3 of us there, my family and I, we are there, we keep the place clean for her. Because if you don't keep it clean, who wants to come in a dirty shelter? I know I wouldn't. Right. So I take it upon my own to keep the shelter nice and clean for her. That's all I have.
All right. Okay, thank you for coming. Very much. That takes us to city council and mayor comments. So we'll start with Councilman Yates over on my left.
Just like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. That's all I got.
I would like to echo that, wish everyone a happy and a safe holiday. And then also just to let you know, on December 5th, mark your calendars, right a little bit after Turkey Day, that we will be having an affordable health care seminar taking place for those who need to sign up and still register for health care. You have until December 15th. It will be taking place at the Colvin Community Center December 5th from 5 to 7, open and free to the public. All we're doing is making sure those who are in need of insurance come out and get signed up, because you have until December 15th. That's all I have.
Okay. Councilman Palmer?
Yes, this Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, we have our 22nd annual Community Thanksgiving Day dinner at the Sign of the Dove Church from 11 to 2. 22 years we've been feeding all that come to our doors on Thanksgiving Day. So they're looking for somebody to have dinner with on Thanksgiving Day. Come join my wife and I for Thanksgiving Day dinner. 11 o'clock, Sign of the Dove Church.
11 to 2.
11 to 2.
Councilwoman Baker?
Yes. week, about 2 weeks ago, I think, week and a half ago, the North Hardin High School Band, along with some other local and area bands, competed up in Indianapolis for Bands of America. And there was over 100 bands from across the United States. North Hardin placed second in Class 2A, and they had the highest score out of all the other Kentucky bands. Some of the other Kentucky bands were in different divisions, so they may have won their division, but North had the highest overall composite score. So I think we need to be really proud of them for all the hard work and everything they do. And Savannah, as you spoke earlier, is in the band. She's one of those very active people, and they've just done a tremendous job. And then also I'd like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Be careful traveling. If you have company coming, please take them out to our parks, to Saunders Springs. Enjoy the beauty that we have here in the local area. Take them to some of our attractions if you're not too busy shopping. And Mayor, you may, I don't know if you're going to talk about the Santa,
No.
Jamie?
No, you can go ahead and do that.
And then also, if Chief Henderson would like to give us some information, I think this Friday Santa starts. Can you give us a little bit on that?
This, I don't have the maps with me, so I can't tell you exact streets, but I think Ben's gonna put it in there for me, right, Ben?
Sure.
The fire truck, Santa on the fire truck.
Santa fire truck. The Sanatorium starts this Friday night, starts at 6 o'clock. We're going to north of the town and working our way south again, so, all the postings, the turn by turn is actually on the, city's Facebook page. I actually put it on there today, so just keep your eyes peeled for that in the newspaper right there.
And that'll be Fridays and Saturday nights.
Yes, every Friday and Saturday, except for the second. The second, we are actually having a Christmas party, so Santa Claus is coming to our Christmas party. He will be busy on the truck.
And then I don't have that flyer with me, but you probably have that.
On the 1 December,
Yes, you're covering that, right?
I have it in my head.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay, and Tanya, you wanted an alibi.
I don't know how I forgot this, but don't forget this Saturday is Small Business Saturday. So don't forget to shop local on Small Business Saturday. And you have reasons to, because you've met some great businesses. Don't forget to patron here locally. That's what I have.
Right now, we have 1 December, we're going to light up this whole area. And we have all LED lights. It really looks good. When you look down this, it looks like Santa Claus Lane. And we'll have a couple of songs up here, and then we will hit a button and all of the lights will light. And then from there, we sing some more songs and go down to the trolley. And this time, the trolley is disguised as a caboose for the Polar Express. And all the kids get to go through the Polar Express, meet the captain, get a little hot chocolate, get a ticket when they get off of there, and go from there. Oh, and along the way, they get to have, the adults get to have hot soup, free, and the kids get to have hot chocolate. And then from there, we go into Cobbin Community Center, and the adults get an opportunity to go in and look at all the trees and vote on which one they think is the best. You can't vote on the policeman's tree because it's too big, and it's nothing can compete with it. So it's outlawed.
It's nice.
And it would win.
Yeah.
And they knew that before they decorated it. And then from there, the kids go downstairs and they have a ticket that they get on the Polar Express. And down there, they get cookies from Mrs. Claus. They also get to take a picture with Santa Claus, sit on his lap and tell him whatever they want. And then they get to have cookies, hot chocolate, and watch the movie Polar Express. And that's on the 1st of December.
And starts at what time?
6 to 9. Please.
Time. What time does the movie start?
6 to
7 is the movie.
7 for the movie.
And then we're still working on what we're going to do on the 15th, but on the 15th, we're going to light the cabins. And we're going to have probably a fire in the fireplace of both of them. And the same Santa Claus that rides on the fire truck, the one with the beard comes all the way down to here, white. and you can pull on it.
Yes.
And you'll jerk his chin off if you
So
pull too hard.
dramatic.
It's a real good Santa. And you'll get to see him at the cabins. And we'll probably have some hot apple cider and maybe something else, we'll see. But we haven't finished planning that. So that's what we plan there. Now, for the city council, back to the city council, Mr. Fox is in the process of renewing our health insurance. And last year, we got a discount of 3% on health insurance. And this year, he will sign the health insurance policy in the end of December. And this year, we get a 7% discount. And that 7% discount is significant for city employees because they get that savings themselves. And then for the part that the city has to pay, that 7% over the period of year equates to $35,000. So that's good news for that. Now, the last thing that I have is I've made a couple of notes about last week, Councilman Holmes at the work session asked for information on the Economic Development Planning and Building Department and asked specifically for information on the automated system. And I did not have all the information he probably wanted at my fingertips immediately, but I have it now, and I assume that if he was still here, he would want it. And since there was a lot of discussion, I assume that the rest of the city council would like to hear it too. This system, called Comcate, was purchased and installed last year and has been in operation for more than 1 calendar year. It is used by our chief building official, our planning official, our building inspector, our administrative assistant, our code enforcement officer, and in the spirit of cost training, our permits clerk / ABC administrator has also learned the system and can pitch in anytime she needs to. Our code enforcement officer is in the process of transitioning from the Comcate system to the Firehouse system, but at the present time still uses both systems. All of the other users continue to employ the system as was planned. The line of questioning last week focused entirely on code enforcement, which is not surprising since the initiative to purchase a system was to improve code enforcement. As near as I can tell, code enforcement was the problem, has been a problem long before I became the mayor of the city. It's been a problem not just in the city of Radcliffe, it's been a problem in the 425 cities in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. As the majority of the council know, code enforcement efficiency became a real issue when the council in September 2015 approved to have a former councilman by the name of Short investigate code enforcement. That investigation consisted of a 2-page survey filled out by the 6 employees who work in the department, and it also consisted of the councilman's preconceived notions of what code enforcement was about. Now, there were unintended consequences as a result of that investigation, because rather than helping the code enforcement officer at the time do his job, the investigation hindered him. On occasions, when he addressed a violation with a resident, he was told, "I don't have to listen to you, you are under investigation." And I can tell you it took a while to overcome that stigma. And when that happened, I started thinking about how can we solve this problem. Former Councilman Short's conclusion was opinion-based, with no new information from the 6 surveys. His conclusion was this: the system of code enforcement in the city of Radcliffe is a manual system that is beyond the ability of the single code enforcement officer to maintain. That was not and is not a conclusion of any value to any of us. The former councilman went on to say, in part, the solution may be a web-based program. In February 2016, the former councilman informed the council that the investigation was complete after a little over 6 months and gave each council person a copy of his findings. This led directly to the council approving the purchase of the Comcate system. In the past 2 years, code enforcement has become an annual topic for the Kentucky League of Cities in formal discussions. They didn't do that before, but in the past 2 years they have. There are 6 code enforcement sessions scheduled for early 2018. I have invited all of our code enforcement board and all employees involved in code enforcement to the January 12 session, which is in Elizabethtown. Early this year, Chief Henderson was very successful in achieving fire-specific code enforcement results. Chief Henderson has Firehouse software that tracks vacant property, fire inspections, time schedules, events, training, code enforcement, and more. That Firehouse system dates back to 1997. So if you're wondering why none of us really paid much attention to it, I guess it's because it's an old system and nobody knew just how effective it was. In addition, the ordinances used by our code enforcement officer are also used by the fire department. Plus, they have Kentucky Revised Statutes and Kentucky Administrative Regulations. They have fire codes, and they have NFPA codes. And the code enforcement officer doesn't have all that and has never had all of that. The problem we have had with code enforcement was identity. The code enforcement officer was not distinguishable from any other city employee in that he wore regular street clothes and drove a truck with unimpressive markings. Now, I had a discussion with the fire chief and the economic development director, and we formed a plan to move the code enforcement officer to the fire station, place him under the leadership of the fire chief, have him work for the deputy fire marshal, then make him a deputy fire marshal by sending him to school, give him a uniform and a badge, and paint his vehicle to match his job. And that's all been done, and I can tell you it is working very well. Now, he's been told to transition from Comcate system to the Firehouse system, but that is not complete yet. The code enforcement officer will make that transition at his own pace. From my perspective, efficiency in code enforcement is our goal. We have accomplished that at a level that was previously thought unachievable. If there is criticism of this decision, I willingly accept that criticism. Code enforcement results since July this year, in my opinion, justify that decision, and it's helping us clean up this city. Thank you for what you do too. And with that, if there are no comments, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
You need a second.
I figured there was a second. We're adjourned.